If you have a critical illness cover from just one insurance company and in just one policy, then also know that a critical illness claim will only be settled once. There are no multiple payouts made for critical illness. Some of my clients have asked me this question in the past. What if I took out multiple policies and had critical illness cover given to me by various insurers totaling up to the maximum level of $1,250,000? What if on the diagnosis of a critical condition, I didn't claim from all insurers simultaneously? The answer is you can absolutely do that. The critical illness cover purchased with different insurers would only be triggered if you file a claim. The question I have for you is, why would you choose to take a claim settlement at a later date when the insurer is going to pay you the same amount of money whether you claimed today or 10 years from now? It may be more in your interest to withdraw that money from the insurance company on the event of the first claim and have that money work for you in the years to come to create a parallel stream of income. Another thing to remember about critical illness cover is the conditions are clearly listed. In most cases, insurers in the UAE will offer you roughly about 34 conditions which are clearly listed, on diagnosis of which an insurance payout is made. The insurance payout is the equivalent of your critical illness cover and not up to the level of the critical illness cover, which means if you have a critical illness cover of $500,000 and God forbid you have a critical condition, the insurance company will pay out the $500,000, and this is irrespective of what your actual medical bills are incurred. Another thing to consider with critical illness policies is the critical illness policies usually have a waiting period of about 90 days, which means if you have purchased a critical illness coverage today, then the critical illness cover is not going to be valid for the next 90 days. In all probability, your cover kicks in only after 90 days have completed. So the next question really is, how do you plan out how much cover is required for critical illness? And I've seen a lot of numbers been thrown out there. Usually when I see a critical illness cover that's shown to me by one of my prospects, by agents who've sold this to them in the past, they usually fixed numbers, and I can understand why that is. Consider though, a level of critical illness could be different as a requirement for you versus somebody else. One thing I always tell my clients to consider while purchasing critical illness is how many months of an income would you like substituted for in the event you were diagnosed as being critically ill, which means in the event you had a critical illness, how many months would you like there to be a buffer for all your expenses to be taken care of without you having to worry about breaking your bank or digging into your savings? That number could be different for different people. So to give you an idea, if a client of mine has $1 million of critical illness, the average person may look at that number and go, wow, this is way too much cover. But for that individual whose expense ratio on a yearly basis is in excess of $1 to $1.2 million a year, this would really only take care of 1 year of expenditure for him. On the flip side, that could be 10 years of expenditure for somebody else. So don't be fooled by the numbers. What I'd suggest you do instead is consider what your expenditure looks like on a monthly basis and have a multiple of that as a critical illness cover. If you think you require a year to take time off after a critical illness, then consider that the calculation of cover needs to be 12 times your monthly expenditure. If you'd like 2 years, then take it as 24 months of your monthly expenditure. The other thing to consider while purchasing a critical illness cover is how do you go about buying it? In most cases, a critical illness cover can be clubbed as a rider on your life insurance policy. This is the most easiest way to purchase it. However, there are products in the market that are available today as standalone critical illness cover only. Another thing to consider is letting your insurer know how much of cover you already have in place while applying for a new policy. Remember that your contract application form forms the basis of your cover. We've had several situations in the past where people have told us that their claims may not have been settled. Remember that the insurer does not know you as an individual, and what goes on your application form really determines how that cover will come into place. So ensure that the application form has all the relevant information so that in the event of a claim, the insurer has no reason to decline you cover. Another thing to consider is the probability of having a critical illness before the age of 65 is probably far greater than the need for death cover or life insurance coverage at that same age group.